Happiness isn't what you find when life gets easier. It's what you build when life stays hard. Most people are just trying to get through the day. They smile on the outside, but inside they feel tired, frustrated, and alone. And they think they can't be happy until everything in life is fixed. But here's the truth. You don't need a perfect life to feel better. You just need to stop waiting for things to change and start learning how to take care of yourself in the middle of the mess. You can be happy even when life is hard. Not fake happy, not pretend. Real peace, real strength, real joy in small moments. And that starts by changing how you think, how you speak to yourself, and how you show up every day, even when it's difficult. This isn't about big motivation speeches or magic solutions. It's about real tools that actually help. So if you've been feeling like happiness is out of reach, this is your reminder. It's not. You can build it right here, right now, exactly where you are. Chapter 1. Accept what hurts without blaming yourself anymore. You know, one of the hardest things to do in life is to accept what has hurt us without turning on ourselves. It's easy to fall into the trap of self-blame when something goes wrong, when someone walks away, when life doesn't go as planned. The mind quickly says, maybe it's your fault. Maybe you should have done more. Maybe you should have known better. That kind of thinking doesn't heal anything. It only breaks you down further. You're not helping yourself by beating yourself up. You're not becoming wiser. You're just staying stuck. You've already been hurt once by what happened. Why hurt yourself again by holding on to guilt, shame, and blame? The real strength shows up when you can say, yes, this happened. Yes, it hurt. But I don't have to turn it into a reason to destroy my peace. That kind of strength builds a new kind of happiness, not the happiness that depends on life going smoothly, but the happiness that comes from knowing you can handle life when it doesn't. Henry Draper. Every person goes through pain. Some hide it better than others. Some have learned how to live with it, but those who find real happiness every day, even when life is difficult, are the ones who stop blaming themselves. You must understand this. You cannot control every outcome. You cannot control how people behave. You cannot go back and fix everything that broke. But you can control how you treat yourself today. It's okay to look at your mistakes. It's okay to reflect. But if your reflection turns into self-attack, you're no longer learning. You're just tearing yourself down. Accepting what hurts means giving yourself the permission to feel what you feel, without labeling yourself as a failure. You're human. You've made choices. Some worked out, some didn't. That's not weakness. That's life. I've seen people carry around guilt from things they did 10 years ago. You know what that does? It keeps them from enjoying today. It keeps them from building something better. Don't let what went wrong keep you from what can go right. Stop putting yourself on trial over and over again. You've already survived the worst part. The event, the loss, the failure. Now it's time to survive the thoughts that keep repeating it in your mind. You may not forget what happened. You may not understand why it happened. But you can accept that it happened and still give yourself permission to live fully. Happiness doesn't mean pretending you're not hurt. It means recognizing that you're hurt and choosing to heal instead of punish yourself. If you've lost something, a relationship, a job, an opportunity, don't turn that loss into proof that you're not enough. Life is full of changes. Sometimes those changes feel like destruction, but they are also chances for redirection. Don't look at every hard moment and say, "This is who I am." No, it's what you've been through. There's a difference. What you've been through is a chapter. It's not the full book. And some of you, I know, are thinking, but I did mess up. I did say the wrong thing. I did make that mistake. Yes, own it. Take responsibility, learn from it, but don't turn it into a permanent identity. You're allowed to grow, you're allowed to change, you're allowed to forgive yourself. If you keep carrying guilt, your hands won't be free to build anything new. When you stop blaming yourself, you make space for compassion. You start treating yourself with care, and that care becomes the foundation for everything else. Better habits, better relationships, better choices. But it starts with acceptance. You don't accept because you agree with everything that happened. You accept because fighting reality will only leave you bitter, angry, and drained. If someone hurt you, it wasn't your fault. If you trusted someone and they let you down, that speaks to their character, not yours. You may have made decisions from a place of love, hope, or pressure. That doesn't make you foolish. It makes you human. And now you're wiser. That wisdom is worth something. Use it. Use it to treat yourself with the same respect you wish others had given you. You don't get stronger by pretending things didn't hurt. You get stronger by saying, "It hurt, but I'm still here, and I'm going to be good to myself moving forward." That's where your real happiness starts. Not in perfection, but in self-kindness. You can't wake up every day hoping the past disappears. But you can wake up every day and decide not to use it against yourself anymore. You can't control how long the healing takes, but you can control whether you feed your pain or you feed your peace. And if you want to feel better, you've got to start feeding your peace. Think about how you talk to your friends when they're hurting. You don't tear them apart. You don't remind them of every mistake. You listen, you support, you encourage. Now do that for yourself. Stop waiting for someone else to come save you from the pain. Save yourself from the punishment you keep giving your own mind. You can't be at peace when you're your own enemy. Happiness doesn't always feel like a big moment. Sometimes it's quiet. Sometimes it's just sitting still and realizing, "I didn't talk down to myself today." That matters. That's progress. That's happiness showing up in real time. Start treating yourself like you're worth something, because you are. The past might be heavy, but blaming yourself only adds more weight. Start putting that weight down, one piece at a time. Remind yourself that it's okay to move forward, even if everything behind you still stings a little. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to forget. You just have to stop hurting yourself in the process of healing. This is how you become happier, not by fixing everything, but by not blaming yourself for what broke. You've come this far. You've already proven you're stronger than the hardest thing that happened. Now prove that you're willing to live well beyond it. That's where real happiness begins, right there. In the choice to accept what hurt and finally stop turning against yourself. Chapter 2. Train your brain to find peace in problems. Most people are trained to panic when life doesn't go their way. They react, they worry, they get overwhelmed. But the truth is, your brain doesn't have to stay in that state. You can train your brain to find peace. Even when things are uncertain, even when they're uncomfortable, and even when peace is not something that only happens when life is perfect. Peace is something you build inside yourself. It's something you practice until it becomes how you respond, not just how you wish you felt. Think about it. When something goes wrong, where does your mind go first? Do you start imagining the worst? Do you replay everything that could go wrong next? Do you freeze up and tell yourself, "This is too much"? If so, you're not alone. Most people are conditioned that way. We're told to always prepare for the worst. We're surrounded by stress. But that doesn't mean you have to accept that as your normal. You can rewire that pattern. You can teach your mind to slow down, to think clearly, and to protect your peace instead of running toward panic. It starts by being aware of how your mind works. When you face a problem, stop for a moment. Don't rush into reaction. Pay attention to your first thought. Is it helpful, or is it making the problem feel even bigger? You have to understand that not every thought you have is worth believing. Some thoughts are just fear speaking louder than reason. Some are based on old habits. Some come from the part of you that doesn't feel safe. But you are not your thoughts. You are the one who decides what to do with them. Training your brain to find peace means practicing a new habit. Don't let every emotion become a command. Just because you feel fear doesn't mean there's danger. Just because you feel pressure doesn't mean you have to collapse. Your brain has learned how to overreact, and now it's time to teach it how to respond with calm. That takes patience. That takes self-awareness. That takes doing it again and again until peace becomes your new default. Start with the way you speak to yourself. In the middle of a challenge, most people tell themselves, "This is too hard, I can't do this, I'll never fix this." That kind of talk doesn't solve anything, it only adds to the stress. You need to start speaking from a place of calm strength. You don't have to lie to yourself. You don't have to pretend everything is okay. But you do need to remind yourself that even if it's hard, you can still handle it. Tell yourself, "I'm not going to fall apart. I've been through worse. I will figure this out." This doesn't mean you ignore problems. It means you face them without letting your emotions take over. You stay grounded. You focus on what you can do. You keep your energy away from panic and put it into action, because when your mind is calm, your decisions are better. You don't rush. You don't break down. You don't waste time imagining every worst-case scenario. Instead, you look at the facts. You see the next step clearly. You start solving, not spiraling. You don't build peace in your mind by hoping everything goes right. You build peace by being strong when things go wrong. You take responsibility for how you respond. That's real power. Not control over the outside world, but control over your own mindset. That's the kind of peace that can't be taken away. It stays with you no matter what's happening around you. There's also something else you need to understand. Problems are part of life. No matter how smart you are, no matter how hard you work, no matter how kind you try to be, you will face setbacks. You will feel pain. You will deal with stress. You can't avoid that. But you can avoid making it worse by losing your peace. When you train your mind to respond differently, problems stop becoming a threat to your well-being. They become a part of your growth. You don't have to like them, but you stop letting them control you. You can create small daily habits to strengthen your mind. Start your morning with stillness instead of stress. Before checking your phone or diving into work, sit for 5 minutes and breathe. Remind yourself that you can handle whatever comes. That moment of calm gives your brain a starting point for peace. Throughout the day, when something goes wrong, pause. Don't react instantly. Count slowly. Get back to a calm place before you respond. That small pause is where power lives. Another way to train your brain is to focus on what's going right, not to ignore the problems, but to balance your attention. Most people only focus on what's missing or broken. That trains the brain to always scan for danger. You need to retrain it to also notice progress, effort, good moments, small wins. This isn't about pretending everything is perfect. It's about being honest with yourself. Yes, there's a problem, but there's also something working. That perspective builds strength. And remember, your environment matters too. If you surround yourself with chaos, if your mind is always fed with noise, distraction, negativity, it becomes harder to hold on to peace. You must protect your mental space. Spend less time around people who fuel stress. Stay away from news that drains you. Keep your space clean and simple. Speak less about what's wrong. Speak more about what's possible. Don't just look for peace in silence. Look for peace in your responses. Look for it in the way you breathe during a difficult moment. Look for it in the way you choose to walk away from drama. Look for it in the way you stay calm when someone else loses control. That's your training showing up. That's what strength looks like. The more you do this, the stronger you become. Not louder, not tougher in appearance, but grounded, sure, clear, and from that place you make better choices. You stay steady, you lead yourself. You don't just survive problems, you grow through them. You learn to live with less fear, you trust yourself more, and slowly peace becomes something you carry with you, not something you wait for. It's easy to wish for a life without problems, but that's not realistic. What's real is building a mind that can handle life when it's not easy. That's what gives you freedom. That's what creates happiness that lasts, because peace isn't a reward you get after life gets easier. Peace is the tool that helps you move forward when life is still hard. So if you're tired of feeling like every setback ruins your whole day, it's time to train your mind. Start today, not when life gets better, now. Talk to yourself with respect. Pause before reacting. Protect your focus. Feed your thoughts with clarity and courage. That's how you stop being at the mercy of your problems. That's how you take back your peace. And that's how you become happy. Not because the world is perfect, but because you trained your brain to protect what matters most. Chapter 3. Put your phone down and feel the moment. We live in a time where our attention is constantly being pulled in every direction. It's easy to reach for your phone the moment you wake up. It's become a habit for many, checking messages, scrolling through apps, jumping from one thing to another without even realizing what it's doing to your mind. But if you want to experience real happiness, even when life feels difficult, you need to give yourself space to breathe. You need to pause. You need to feel where you are. And to do that, you've got to put the phone down. The phone isn't the enemy, it's a tool. But the problem begins when that tool takes control of your peace, your focus, your ability to be fully alive in the moment. So many people feel anxious, overwhelmed, or numb without even knowing why. And much of that comes from the non-stop noise we consume every day. You're not just checking your phone. You're giving away your attention, your time, your emotions, sometimes your confidence, to things that often add no real value to your life. You need time to be still. You need time to be present. You need time where your brain isn't reacting to everything you see. That's where real peace comes from. It's not found in the next video, the next post, or the next distraction. It's found in being right here in your own life, without needing something to pull you out of it. Try this. The next time you sit down, don't reach for your phone. Sit with yourself. Notice the sounds around you. Feel your breath. Look at the room you're in. You'll feel a little uncomfortable at first because we've been trained to constantly engage with something. But that discomfort is a sign that your mind is overstimulated. And the only way to get back control is to allow stillness to come back in. You won't find clarity in constant scrolling. You won't find joy in noise. You find it in silence, in attention, in noticing what's already here. Most people are not unhappy because their life is terrible. They're unhappy because they're disconnected. Disconnected from their own thoughts, their own feelings, their own relationships. When you're always on your phone, you miss the small things, the real conversation, the calm in your breath, the value in a simple task done well. You stop experiencing your life and start living in reaction mode. There's a cost to that. You don't feel deeply. You don't reflect. You don't grow. You just stay distracted. And distraction, when it becomes constant, becomes an escape from discomfort, from boredom, from facing parts of yourself you've avoided. But those are the very places where growth begins. When you put the phone down, you open the door to reconnect with your own mind. You give yourself a chance to reset. Happiness doesn't come from consuming more, it comes from connecting more with yourself, with people around you, with the present moment. Think about how many times you've missed something important because you were staring at a screen. Maybe someone was trying to talk to you. Maybe you were eating but didn't even taste your food. Maybe a beautiful moment passed by, but your mind was somewhere else. That disconnection over time builds frustration. You stop feeling satisfied. You stop feeling whole. But the moment you choose to come back to reality, without a filter, without a screen, something starts to shift inside you. You begin to notice what you've been missing. You hear your own thoughts more clearly. You see what matters. You remember what real presence feels like. And it's that presence that brings a kind of peace no device can ever give you. You don't need endless information. You don't need more entertainment. You need to learn how to be fully alive in your own life. Start small. Put your phone in another room while you eat. Keep it out of reach for the first hour after you wake up. Go for a walk without music or distractions. Give your full attention to whatever you're doing. When someone speaks to you, really listen. These aren't difficult things, but they require commitment. They require honesty, because sometimes using your phone all the time is a way to avoid being real with yourself. And if you want to be happy every day, you can't keep avoiding yourself. We weren't built to be constantly stimulated. The brain needs rest. It needs stillness. It needs space to think deeply, to feel, to create new thoughts. When your mind is always busy reacting, you lose the ability to process. That's why people feel burned out, even when they've done nothing physically demanding. It's not always your body that's tired. It's your mind that's exhausted from never getting a break. There's something powerful that happens when you sit with no distractions. You start to hear what's really going on inside you. You face emotions you've pushed away. You get honest with what you want. And most importantly, you return to the present, the only place where real life happens. Phones have their place. Technology has benefits, but when they become the center of your attention, you start living less and consuming more. And no matter how many videos you watch, how many likes you get, how many posts you scroll through, it never fills that emptiness. Because happiness doesn't come from outside. It starts when you take control of where your attention goes. Your peace is not found in more content. It's found in being here. Fully here, in the taste of your coffee, in the way your body feels when you stretch, in the sound of your own footsteps, in the quiet voice that rises when your mind isn't full of noise. This is what being alive truly feels like. Not distracted, not scattered, but grounded in the moment you're living. And when life gets hard, when you're dealing with stress, loss, pressure or uncertainty, being present becomes even more important. Because if you keep escaping into your phone, you never face what needs to be faced. And what you don't face keeps building. It becomes weight, it becomes tension, and eventually it becomes unhappiness. But when you choose to stop scrolling, when you choose to return to your life, even the difficult parts, you give yourself the power to heal, to rebuild, to understand, and to grow. You stop running. You start living. You learn to sit with discomfort and not hide from it. You find meaning in simple things. You discover that even when life is messy, there is still something beautiful in showing up for it fully. Happiness doesn't mean everything is easy. It means you're connected enough to feel peace, even when things aren't perfect. That kind of happiness requires attention. It requires presence. It requires that you stop giving all your energy to a device and start giving it back to yourself. So the next time you feel the urge to pick up your phone out of habit, pause. Ask yourself, what am I running from right now? And then choose differently. Choose to stay. Choose to feel. Choose to be in your own life without needing a screen to make it bearable. Because you're strong enough to face the moment. You're capable of being fully present. And the more you practice this, the more you'll feel something most people never do. Real peace in real time. Chapter 4. Give yourself permission to feel joy again. There comes a time when you've been through enough pain that joy starts to feel unfamiliar. You've been hurt, disappointed, maybe even broken. And somewhere along the way you stopped allowing yourself to feel light again. You told yourself not to get your hopes up. You started to believe that joy wasn't safe anymore, that if you let it in, it might be taken away. But holding back your joy doesn't protect you. It only keeps you stuck in survival mode. If you want to be happy every day, even when life is tough, you have to give yourself permission to feel joy again. You don't need a perfect life to feel something good again. You don't need everything to be fixed before you smile. You don't need every wound to be healed before you let yourself laugh. Joy doesn't come after the struggle ends. It comes when you stop blocking it. It shows up in small ways, and it grows when you stop pushing it away. People often think that if they're struggling, they're not allowed to feel good. They say things like, I can't enjoy this, not with everything going on. But that kind of thinking is what keeps people miserable. Struggle is part of life, but joy is too. You're allowed to hold both. You're allowed to feel broken and still smile at something real. You're allowed to be tired and still feel proud of yourself. You're allowed to be in a hard season and still look for moments that make you feel alive. No one can give you joy. You have to allow it for yourself. And that means letting go of the guilt. Guilt is one of the biggest blocks to happiness. You tell yourself you don't deserve it, that you haven't done enough, that you haven't earned peace or rest or good things. But you're wrong. Being human means you're worthy of joy, even if your life isn't picture perfect, even if you're healing, even if you've made mistakes. You're still allowed to feel lightness again. And here's something else. Joy doesn't always come from big events. Sometimes it's found in the smallest, simplest things. The first sip of coffee in the morning, a deep breath after a long day, hearing your favorite song, feeling the warmth of sunlight on your skin. These things matter. And when you train your mind to recognize them, you start creating space for joy to grow again. You stop rushing through your life and start living in it. But many people have spent years denying themselves that kind of peace. They've learnt to brace for impact, always expecting the next problem. They don't let themselves relax because they think relaxing means something bad will happen. That mindset is exhausting, and if you live that way long enough, it becomes your default. But you can change that. You can rewire your thoughts. You can remind yourself that feeling good isn't dangerous. It's not weakness. It's not a setup for disappointment. It's part of being alive. You also have to stop waiting for someone else to tell you it's okay to enjoy your life. People will always understand your journey. Some will expect you to stay small, stay quiet, stay stuck. But their expectations aren't your truth. You are the one who decides what your heart is allowed to feel. And the more you allow yourself to feel joy, even when things are messy, the stronger you become. Because joy gives you fuel. It reminds you that there is more to life than pain. It gives your brain a reason to hope again. It shifts your focus from what's missing to what's still here. And that shift is what changes your energy, your decisions, your direction. Start noticing what brings a smile to your face. Don't overthink it. Don't analyze whether you should be smiling. Just let it happen. Stop measuring your emotions against someone else's rules. If something makes you feel lighter, give yourself permission to lean into it. Create moments that feel good without apologizing for them. Go for a walk, eat your favorite meal, spend time with someone who makes you laugh. These are not luxuries, they are necessities. They keep your heart from going numb. And if it's been a long time since you felt happy, don't pressure yourself to force it. Just be open. Say to yourself, I'm allowed to feel good again. I'm not betraying my past. I'm choosing to live fully. That simple shift in your mindset can open a door. It doesn't mean you forget everything you've been through. It means you refuse to let what hurt you take away every good feeling you could have going forward. Some people wear their pain like armor. They think it protects them from being hurt again. But what it really does is keep out everything. Not just pain, but joy too. And if you want to truly heal, you have to be willing to feel again. That means being open. That means letting your guard down just enough to experience life without always expecting the worst. You don't owe the world your constant pain. You don't have to carry sadness just to prove how hard your life has been. It's okay to move forward. It's okay to laugh again. It's okay to feel good in your skin. You are not broken just because you enjoy a moment of peace. You're rebuilding. You're reclaiming something that belongs to you. Your joy. Every day you wake up is a chance to choose again, to choose joy even in small doses, to choose connection over withdrawal, to choose presence over numbness. This isn't about pretending things are perfect. It's about not giving your pain the final word. Your heart still works. Your mind is still capable of shifting. You're not stuck unless you decide to stay stuck. Joy will not show up with a loud voice. It whispers. It shows up quietly, and it waits for your permission. So stop ignoring it. Stop pushing it away. You don't have to explain yourself to anyone. You don't need a reason to smile. You don't need the world's approval to feel good about your life. This is your moment. You've made it through so much already, and the fact that you're still standing says everything. So give yourself that one gift today, the gift of joy. Let it be real. Let it be simple. Let it remind you that your story is not finished, and the best chapters still have room for laughter, peace, and light. You don't have to earn joy. You just have to stop denying it. Open your heart to what's still beautiful. Let your body relax. Let your face soften. Let your soul breathe again. You are not behind. You are not disqualified. You're just human, learning how to feel alive again. And that, more than anything else, is worth celebrating every single day.
Chapter 5.
Stop waiting for life to be perfect first. So many people waste years of their life waiting. Waiting for the right time, waiting for the perfect conditions, waiting for everything to finally make sense before they allow themselves to take a step forward. They keep saying, "I'll start when things calm down," or "I'll be happy when I fix everything first." But that day never comes, because life doesn't wait, and perfection doesn't exist. The longer you wait for life to be just right, the more time you lose, and the more disconnected you become from what could have already been yours. You don't need everything to be perfect before you make a change. You don't need every question answered before you begin. Progress is built by those who move while things are still messy, those who take action while feeling unsure, those who do what they can with what they have, not what they wish they had. If you're always waiting for a clear path, you'll never start. If you keep looking for perfect certainty, you'll stay stuck in the same place, thinking, doubting, hesitating. The truth is, life will always have something going on. You'll always have responsibilities, stress, people to take care of, problems to solve. If your peace depends on all those things going away, you're setting yourself up to suffer. But if your peace comes from your ability to move forward despite the pressure, you begin to take your power back. The real growth begins when you stop making happiness something that only exists one day in the future. The day you stop waiting is the day you start living. Think about how many things you've put off because you told yourself the timing wasn't right. How many goals, how many experiences, how many moments of joy you've delayed because you were waiting for everything to be in place. But the people who create the life they want aren't the ones with the smoothest path. They're the ones who stop making excuses. They're the ones who understand that clarity comes through action, not waiting. The idea that life has to be perfect before you act is not only false, it's dangerous. It convinces you to stay in hesitation. It makes you believe you need permission to begin. It turns small obstacles into impossible blocks, and it takes away your confidence. Because every time you wait, you tell yourself you're not ready. But most of the time, readiness is a decision, not a feeling. You decide to move forward. You decide to make progress even when you're not 100% sure. That's how growth happens, not in comfort, but in movement. Stop thinking you need the perfect job, the perfect schedule, the perfect mindset, or the perfect mood. Start with whatever you have right now. Start while you feel uncertain. Start while your hands are shaking. Start while the rest of your life still feels incomplete. Because action is what creates momentum, and momentum is what brings clarity, growth, and eventually confidence. Waiting can disguise itself as wisdom. You tell yourself, "I'm being smart by not rushing." But there's a difference between being thoughtful and being paralyzed by fear. If you've been thinking about doing something for months or even years and still haven't moved, that's not wisdom, that's resistance. And resistance grows every time you feed it. Every day you don't act, the fear gets louder. Every time you hesitate, the mind starts convincing you it's safer to stay where you are. But safety isn't always peace. Sometimes it's a trap. And if you're not careful, you'll live your entire life inside a version of yourself that never got a chance to grow. You have to be honest with yourself. Are you truly not ready, or are you just scared? Are you really being responsible, or are you just avoiding the risk of failing, of being uncomfortable, of being seen trying and not getting it right the first time? Those questions matter, because the longer you hide behind the idea of not yet, the more time you lose. And time is one thing you never get back. You also have to stop thinking that joy has to be earned after everything is perfect. You don't need to accomplish a list of things before you're allowed to be happy. You don't need to prove your worth by fixing every flaw. You're allowed to enjoy your life now. You're allowed to smile even when things are uncertain. You're allowed to feel proud of yourself even when you're still figuring things out. Joy isn't something you unlock at the end. It's something you allow yourself to feel as you go. Don't wait until you feel completely secure. Don't wait until there's no fear. Fear will always show up when you're doing something that matters. Let it be there, but don't let it guide your choices. Choose growth. Choose movement. Choose to live now, because the truth is you only get one life, and you don't want to look back one day realizing you spent most of it waiting. You deserve to live fully. You deserve to try new things. You deserve to fail and learn and rebuild and try again. That's how real life is lived, not in waiting rooms but in motion. Stop believing that you need more time before you start. What you need is courage. What you need is a reason that matters more than your fear. What you need is a mindset that says, this might not be perfect, but it's enough to begin. Let go of the idea that your environment has to be quiet, that your relationships have to be smooth, that your health has to be perfect, that your emotions have to be calm. Those things help, but they're not requirements for action. You can still move forward while things feel chaotic. You can still build something good while you're managing other challenges. It's not one or the other. Life is not black and white. It's full of gray areas, and the most powerful change happens in the middle of that gray. You have everything you need to begin, not because your situation is ideal, but because you've got a mind that can think, a body that can move, and a heart that still wants more out of life. That's enough. You're not supposed to have it all figured out. You're just supposed to keep going, one real step at a time, and if you do that with honesty and consistency, you will surprise yourself. There's no perfect day coming. There's just today, and it's the only chance you have to take back your focus, to act on what matters, to stop waiting for a life that already exists inside your reach. Don't wait for the pain to go away before you take care of yourself. Don't wait for the fear to vanish before you speak up. Don't wait for the doubts to disappear before you try. That waiting is stealing your life 1 hour at a time. Start now, even if it's small, even if it's awkward, even if you're unsure. Start by showing up for yourself. Start by saying, I'm not waiting anymore. I'm choosing to live. That mindset alone can change your direction. That mindset alone can break the cycle, because you were never meant to just survive. You were meant to experience, to learn, to fail, to feel, and to grow. So stop putting it off. Stop holding back. Stop imagining a version of life where everything is perfect before you get to feel alive. Life isn't something you wait for. It's something you build while things are still uncertain. The only moment you ever have full control over is this one, and what you do with it will shape everything that comes next. Don't waste it. Move forward anyway. Begin anyway. Live anyway. Chapter 6. Take care of your mind before anything else. If your mind is not in a good place, nothing else in your life will feel right. You can have opportunities in front of you, but if your thinking is negative, scattered, or tired, you won't recognize them. You can be surrounded by people who care about you, but if your inner dialogue is full of stress or self-doubt, you won't feel close to them. You can make progress in your career, your health, your goals, but if your thoughts are out of control, none of it will feel enough. This is why taking care of your mind is not optional. It has to be the foundation for everything else. The quality of your life depends on the quality of your thinking. Most people think they have to fix their outside world first. The job, the money, the relationships. They believe that once those things improve, then they'll finally feel better. But it doesn't work that way, because when your mind is not steady, even the good things won't bring peace. Your mind will always find something to worry about, something to criticize, something to fear. So the real work starts within. Before you chase a better future, work on your mindset. Before you try to fix everything around you, take a close look at what's going on inside you. Your thoughts shape how you see the world. If your mind is full of pressure, you'll feel like life is always urgent. If it's full of fear, you'll hesitate and miss chances. If it's full of comparison, you'll feel like nothing you do is ever enough. But when your mind is clear and grounded, you make decisions from strength. You respond with intention. You don't get thrown off by every situation. You build stability from the inside out. Taking care of your mind doesn't mean you never feel down or stressed. It means you learn how to reset. You learn how to stop the spiral before it controls your whole day. You give your mental health the same priority that you give your physical health. You understand that your thoughts affect your energy, your relationships, your productivity, and your peace. You stop ignoring your mental state and start treating it like the main engine that drives your life, because it is. You have to build habits that support your mind daily, not just when things go wrong, but as a way of life. That means giving yourself space to think without distractions. It means being mindful of what you consume, not just food, but the conversations you have, the content you watch, the voices you listen to. It means noticing how you talk to yourself when no one's around. Are you harsh? Are you critical? Or do you give yourself the same respect and encouragement you give to others? Most people speak to themselves in ways they would never speak to a friend. They beat themselves up, they replay old mistakes, they doubt their abilities, and then they wonder why they feel stuck. You can't expect to move forward if your inner world is constantly pulling you down. You have to build a mindset that supports your growth, not blocks it. You have to learn to be mentally kind, mentally tough, and mentally awake. That starts with awareness. Pay attention to your thoughts. Don't just react. Don't just accept every negative idea as truth. Challenge it, replace it. If you hear yourself saying, "I can't do this," ask yourself, "What if I can?" If your mind says, "This will never get better," ask, "What can I do today to change that?" You are not your thoughts, but if you don't question them, they'll shape your life by default. You also need to take breaks, real ones, not just from work, but from pressure, from noise, from the constant push to be productive. Your mind needs time to rest and recover. Burnout doesn't come just from doing too much. It comes from thinking too much, worrying too much, never letting your brain slow down. So give yourself time to breathe. Sit in silence, step outside, disconnect from screens, reconnect with your own presence. That stillness is not wasted time, it's healing. Taking care of your mind also means dealing with things you've avoided, unprocessed emotions, unfinished conversations, regrets. You can't just bury those things and hope they disappear. They stay in the background and influence how you think, how you react, how you see the world. Facing what's been avoided doesn't mean reliving every pain. It means letting yourself process what's true, so it doesn't have to keep chasing you in silence. Healing isn't instant, but it begins with honesty. And sometimes, taking care of your mind means asking for help. You're not supposed to carry everything alone. There's strength in being open. There's wisdom in knowing when to talk, when to reach out, when to say, "I'm not okay, and I need support." Don't let pride or fear keep you suffering in silence. Mental wellness is not about being tough all the time. It's about being real with where you are and doing what you need to stay balanced. You also need to create a morning routine that sets your mind right before the day takes over. Don't start your day by checking messages or scrolling through chaos. Start with something quiet. Read something uplifting. Write your thoughts down. Speak your goals out loud. Breathe. Stretch. These small habits protect your focus. They create a mental space where your thoughts don't own you. You own them. Throughout the day, be intentional about how you speak, how you react, what you allow into your space. If something drains you, step away. If someone triggers your peace, create boundaries. If your mind starts spiraling, pause and redirect. You have more control over your mental state than you've been taught to believe. But that control doesn't come from ignoring your thoughts. It comes from managing them with discipline and care. At night, don't carry all your stress to bed. Close your day with gratitude. Even if the day was tough, write down what went well. Let go of what's out of your hands. Protect your rest like it matters, because it does. A tired mind is a vulnerable mind, and if you don't guard your peace, the world will steal it from you. You can't wait until life calms down to take care of your mind. You have to do it now, in the middle of chaos, in the middle of pressure, in the middle of growing, because the world won't always give you space to rest. You have to create that space. You have to decide that your mental well-being is not optional. It's the core of everything else you want to do and become. Your mind is your most valuable asset. More than your time, more than your money, more than your skills. Because if your mind is clear and steady, you can use your time well. You can grow your skills. You can turn opportunities into results. But if your mind is overwhelmed, foggy, and unbalanced, everything else feels harder than it needs to be. So before you chase the next goal, before you try to fix every problem, before you push yourself to your limit, stop and ask, how is my mind right now? And if the answer is scattered, tired, or heavy, that's your sign to slow down and reset. Take care of your thoughts, feed your focus, protect your peace, because your outer life can only grow as far as your inner life allows. And when your mind is strong, clear, and steady, you become unshakable, no matter what life throws at you. Chapter 7. Choose actions that make you proud of yourself. There is a quiet kind of happiness that doesn't come from what people say about you, what you buy, or what you achieve in the eyes of the world. It comes from looking at your own choices and saying, "I respect the way I handled that." It comes from knowing deep down that you did what felt right, even when no one was watching. If you want to build a better life, one that feels strong from the inside, you have to start choosing actions that make you proud of yourself. It's not about trying to impress others. It's not about seeking praise or trying to be perfect. It's about earning your own respect every single day. When you choose honesty over convenience, discipline over comfort, growth over excuses, you build something inside yourself that no one can take away. You can't fake that. You feel it when your actions match your values. You feel it when you follow through on what matters, even when it's hard. Most people don't struggle because they don't know what to do. They struggle because they don't do what they know. The gap between who you are and who you want to be is closed by consistent action, not once, not when it's easy, but day by day, hour by hour, decision by decision. And if you want to feel real confidence, not the kind that comes from talking big, but the kind that comes from living strong, you have to start making choices that you can stand behind. Think about your daily habits. Think about how you spend your time, how you treat others, how you show up for yourself. Do those actions reflect the kind of person you want to become, or do they pull you further from your own standards? It's not about being harsh, it's about being honest. You don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your behavior. So if you want to grow, your habits have to rise with you. When you keep breaking promises to yourself, you lose self-respect. And when self-respect fades, motivation follows. You start thinking you're not capable, but that's not the truth. The truth is, you haven't been consistent with your own standards, but that can change. You can shift the entire direction of your life by deciding to become the kind of person who acts with integrity, not just when it's easy, but especially when it's difficult. Start with small things. Wake up when you say you will. Finish what you start. Speak with honesty. Be kind without expecting anything in return. Push yourself a little more each day. These aren't glamorous actions, but they carry weight, because every time you make a strong choice, you add to your inner strength. You create a pattern, and over time, that pattern becomes your identity. This doesn't mean you won't mess up. You will. Everyone does. But when you mess up, own it. Don't hide. Don't blame. Don't make excuses. Clean it up. Learn from it. Get back on track. That's what separates people who grow from those who stay stuck. It's not about being flawless. It's about being accountable. And accountability is one of the greatest signs of personal strength. You'll find that when you start making better choices, your mind becomes quieter. You stop carrying the weight of regret. You stop feeling like you're behind. You stop needing other people's approval to feel okay, because deep down, you know that you're showing up the way you're supposed to. That kind of peace can't be bought. It can't be borrowed. It has to be built, one good decision at a time. There's also power in doing the right thing when no one else sees it. Most people only act right when there's a reward or when someone's watching, but true character is built when you choose strong values, even when there's no spotlight. You pay attention to the way you treat others. You take care of your responsibilities. You do what's right, not just what's easy, and you do it because you know your choices reflect who you're becoming. If you want to live a life you're proud of, don't wait for a perfect moment. Choose to act with intention now. It doesn't matter where you're starting from. You could have made mistakes yesterday. You could have wasted time. That's behind you. What matters now is whether or not you're ready to step into a better version of yourself today. You do that by choosing actions that match the kind of life you say you want. This applies to every part of your life, your health, your mindset, your work, your relationships. If you want to be proud of how you live, then your daily actions must reflect clarity, courage, and discipline. You don't build confidence by sitting around thinking about who you could be. You build it by doing the work day in, day out, especially when no one claps for it. Some of the most powerful progress happens when no one else sees it, when you make a better choice quietly, when you stop yourself from reacting with anger, when you walk away from drama, when you decide to take the higher road. These things won't always feel good in the moment, but they stack up, and before you know it, you begin to walk taller. You start feeling more grounded. because your life is finally being led by who you want to be, not by temporary emotions or outside pressure. You also have to be careful not to lower your standards just because you've been around people who gave up on theirs. You are not here to live in survival mode. You're not here to just get by. You're here to rise. You're here to become the person you were meant to be, and that person is built every single day through discipline, honesty, and effort. Pride doesn't come from what others give you, it comes from what you give to yourself. Every time you act with integrity, you prove to yourself that you can be trusted, and that trust creates momentum. You start to believe in your own word. You stop second-guessing yourself. You stop chasing validation. Because you're no longer trying to impress, you're building something deeper, and that depth creates a kind of inner strength that nothing external can shake. Don't chase perfect outcomes. Focus on proud effort. You can't control every result, but you can always control your effort, your response, your behavior. And when you focus on that, you become unstoppable, because life stops being about pleasing others or checking boxes. It becomes about becoming the kind of person who earns their own respect. The real reward is not the goal you reach, it's the person you become on the way there. Someone who can say, "I did what was right, I stayed consistent, I pushed through, I didn't give up on myself." That's what you take with you. That's what builds real pride. Not ego, not arrogance, but quiet, steady, earned pride. You have that power in you. You don't need permission. You don't need approval. You just need to decide that your life is worth more than temporary comfort, that your time is worth more than distractions, that your energy is worth protecting, and that your future is worth fighting for. Choose the kind of actions that build you, not break you, that ground you, not confuse you, that bring you closer to who you really are. And when you do that consistently, you won't have to search for happiness, you'll live in it. Because every day, through your own behavior, you'll be creating the kind of life that you can truly be proud of, no matter what anyone else says. Chapter 8. Be honest about what's draining your happiness daily. You can't fix what you're not willing to face. If your happiness keeps slipping away day after day, there's a reason, and it won't change until you stop pretending that everything is fine. You have to be honest with yourself about what's draining you, not just once, not just when you're overwhelmed, but every day. The truth is, your energy doesn't just disappear, something is taking it. And until you identify it, you'll keep waking up tired, going through the motions, and wondering why life feels so heavy, even when nothing obvious is going wrong. It might be the way you talk to yourself, that constant inner voice telling you you're behind, not good enough, not doing enough. You live with it so long that it starts to sound normal, but it's not. That pressure chips away at your confidence. It steals your ability to feel joy. If every thought in your head is focused on what you're lacking, there's no room to appreciate what you already have. That kind of thinking isn't harmless, it's a slow drain, and it adds up every single day. Maybe it's the people around you. Not everyone in your life is helping you grow. Some are quietly pulling you down. Their words might be subtle, their energy might be loud, but either way, you walk away from them feeling smaller. If every conversation you have leaves you second-guessing yourself, feeling heavy, or emotionally exhausted, you have to ask why you keep allowing that into your space. You can care about someone and still protect your peace. You're not obligated to stay close to people who keep you stuck. Sometimes it's your environment, the clutter in your space, the noise in your schedule, the constant notifications, the lack of boundaries. When you're surrounded by chaos, your mind doesn't rest. It's always in reaction mode. You can't feel grounded when your world feels out of control. And the worst part is, we often adapt to it. We stop noticing how stressed we are because we've lived in that state for so long. But stress becomes suffering when it turns into a lifestyle. You weren't built to be on all the time. You need moments to reset, not just once a year, but every single day. Then there's the weight of your own expectations. You think you should be further along. You think you need to prove something. You think happiness comes after everything's finished. But that mindset keeps you trapped in a loop, always working, never arriving. If you keep attaching your peace to the next goal, you'll never enjoy the moment you're in. And that's how people burn out, not because they're lazy, but because they're chasing something that was never going to give them peace in the first place. You also have to look at your habits. What are you doing every day that leaves you feeling worse afterward? Maybe it's staying up too late. Maybe it's eating food that slows you down. Maybe it's spending hours comparing your life to someone else's online. These small choices feel harmless in the moment, but they create a pattern, and over time that pattern turns into your reality. You can't live a strong life with habits that drain your energy and your joy. Another source of daily unhappiness is avoidance. Avoiding decisions, avoiding conversations, avoiding change. Every time you avoid something that needs attention, you carry it in the back of your mind. It doesn't disappear, it lingers, and it weighs you down. You think avoiding it is saving you from stress, but it's actually multiplying your anxiety. You don't need to solve everything at once, but you do need to start facing the things you've been running from. That's where relief lives, not in avoidance, but in honesty. And don't forget the power of distractions. Not every distraction looks like a problem. Some distractions look like comfort, entertainment that numbs you instead of lifting you, scrolling, binge-watching, drowning in noise. These things might help you forget, but they also stop you from feeling. They rob you of the chance to process what's really going on, and without that awareness, you can't change. You stay stuck in survival mode, convincing yourself you're just tired, when the truth is, you're disconnected. It's time to slow down and ask the hard questions. What's draining you that you keep pretending is normal? What choices are you making that go against your own peace? What patterns are you repeating that no longer serve you? Don't avoid the answers. Don't sugarcoat them. The more honest you are, the more power you gain. And you don't have to share this with anyone. This is between you and yourself. But you do have to tell the truth, because happiness doesn't just happen, it's built, and you can't build it on top of denial. Look at how you spend your mornings. Are you rushing into stress? Look at how you speak to yourself when things go wrong. Are you being kind? Look at the choices you make when you're tired. Are you taking care of yourself or escaping? These questions matter. They shine a light on the things you've gotten used to, things that aren't helping you anymore. And you don't need to fix it all at once. You just need to start being real about what's weighing you down. Happiness begins where self-honesty starts. It grows when you stop pretending you're okay and start working with what's really happening inside you. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to have it all figured out, but you do have to stop ignoring the signs. That feeling in your chest, that constant tiredness, that mood that won't lift, these are not just bad days. These are signs. Your mind and body are telling you something needs attention. Start by simplifying. Clear your space. Cut down the noise. Say no more often. Make room for the things that make you feel alive. Talk less about what's wrong and act more on what feels right. You'll notice something powerful when you remove what drains you. Joy starts to rise on its own. It doesn't have to be forced. It returns when you stop pushing it away with patterns that no longer belong to you. And you don't need a major event to turn things around. Sometimes happiness returns with the smallest change, saying what needs to be said, walking away from something that's been quietly stealing your peace, giving yourself permission to feel without judgment. These things matter. They add up. They change your direction. Your energy is your responsibility, so protect it. Guard your thoughts. Monitor your space. Be intentional with your time, not because you have to be rigid, but because you value yourself enough to stop leaking your life into things that offer nothing back. You deserve better than constant stress. You deserve better than fake smiles. You deserve a life where peace isn't rare but normal. But it all starts with telling the truth, not to the world, just to yourself. Be brave enough to admit what isn't working, strong enough to change what's in your control, and wise enough to walk away from what isn't. That's how happiness comes back, not by chance but by choice, every single day. Chapter 9. Let yourself rest without feeling weak inside. Most people are tired, not just physically but emotionally and mentally too. They're running on empty, but they keep pushing themselves anyway. They wear exhaustion like a badge of honor. They measure their worth by how much they get done, how many tasks they cross off, how long they can keep going without stopping. But this mindset is costing people more than they realize, because rest is not weakness, rest is not failure. Rest is how you recover your strength, regain your focus and return to yourself. And the longer you delay rest, the more disconnected you become from who you truly are. There's a false idea in the world that says if you slow down, you're falling behind. that taking a break means you're lazy, that rest is only earned after exhaustion, but that thinking is wrong. You don't have to earn the right to pause. You don't have to prove your worth through constant movement. You are not a machine. You are a human being, and your body, your mind, your spirit, they all need space to breathe. If you ignore that need, you don't become more successful, you just become more drained. Letting yourself rest is one of the most powerful things you can do, because it's not just about sleeping more or taking a day off. It's about allowing yourself to feel safe when you're not producing. It's about breaking the habit of guilt every time you're not working. It's about choosing peace over pressure, not once in a while, but regularly. When you give yourself rest, you're not stepping back, you're stepping into balance. You have to stop equating your value with your output. You are not only valuable when you're busy, you're not only important when you're achieving. Your worth doesn't disappear when you take a day to recover. The world may try to convince you that you have to always be doing, always be achieving, always be chasing, but you don't. You have to protect your health. You have to protect your peace, because when those two things collapse, nothing else matters. Rest doesn't mean quitting. It doesn't mean giving up. It means knowing when to stop pushing so hard. It means knowing how to check in with yourself. It means creating moments in your life where you're not being pulled in 10 different directions. You have to make rest a practice, a priority, a part of your routine, not just something you do when you hit a wall. There is strength in knowing when to pause. It takes courage to step away from constant busyness. It takes clarity to recognize that doing more isn't always better. Sometimes more gets done when you stop, when your mind resets, when your body gets to recharge, when your spirit finds stillness again. That's when creativity returns. That's when energy rebuilds. That's when you can actually enjoy what you're building. You also have to understand that burnout doesn't always look like breaking down. Sometimes it looks like feeling numb, like being physically present but mentally far away, like doing everything on autopilot. That kind of tiredness creeps in slowly, and if you don't stop and listen, it becomes your new normal. But it's not normal. Living without joy, without energy, without a clear mind, that's not how life is meant to feel. Start asking yourself different questions. Not what more can I do today, but how am I doing right now? Not how much can I handle, but what do I need to feel better? You're not weak for needing recovery. You're not less driven for needing sleep. You're not falling behind for taking care of yourself. That's wisdom. That's maturity. That's self-respect. You have to stop tying your self-worth to how exhausted you are. The goal is not to be busy. The goal is to be present, to be healthy, to feel connected, to live your life in a way that doesn't constantly wear you down. Success without peace is failure in disguise. What's the point of doing it all if you never feel well enough to enjoy it? Letting yourself rest is not a sign that you're losing momentum. It's how you protect your ability to stay consistent. You can't sustain a meaningful life on burnout. You can't show up for others when you're running on fumes. You can't build anything lasting if the foundation, your mental and physical well-being, is always being ignored. This isn't just about sleep. It's about taking pressure off your shoulders. It's about giving yourself permission to not have all the answers, to not carry every burden, to not meet every demand instantly. You're allowed to unplug. You're allowed to sit in silence. You're allowed to have moments where you're just existing, not achieving, not producing, not impressing, just existing in peace. And in those moments, you'll find something important: clarity. Clarity about what matters. Clarity about where you've been pushing too hard. Clarity about what's worth your time and what's not. You begin to realize that rest doesn't take away from your goals. It realigns you with them. It brings you back to what's essential. And that realignment is what gives your efforts true impact. You'll also find that when you rest, your relationships improve. You show up with more patience, more kindness, more understanding, because when you're constantly drained, your tolerance drops, your fuse shortens, you become reactive instead of present. Rest restores not just your energy, but your ability to connect, to listen, to care with your full heart. Stop waiting for a breakdown before you take a break. You don't need to hit rock bottom to deserve peace. You don't need to be completely burned out to earn a day of recovery. Build rest into your life now, while you're still okay, while you're still strong, while you still have time to protect your well-being before it turns into damage. Be honest with yourself about how you feel. If you're always exhausted, something needs to change, and that change starts with permission. Permission to slow down, to step back, to treat yourself like a human being, not a robot, not a machine, but someone who needs care. And the moment you stop feeling guilty for that is the moment your healing begins. So take a deep breath, drop the pressure, unclench your jaw, soften your shoulders. Take off the invisible armor you wear all day. You don't have to prove your strength by staying tired. You prove it by knowing when to rest, by choosing to recover before you collapse, by building a life where peace is part of your plan, not a luxury you chase after burnout. Let yourself rest, without guilt, without shame, without fear of judgment. Just rest. And when you wake up, not just physically, but mentally and emotionally, you'll remember what it feels like to be alive, not just functioning. And that is where your true strength comes from. Chapter 10. Show up for yourself even on hard days. Some days feel heavier than others. You wake up and something feels off. Your energy's low, your mind is full, you don't feel motivated, you don't feel clear, everything feels like a lot, and part of you wants to check out, to escape, to wait until the storm passes. But here's the truth, the most important time to show up for yourself is exactly on those hard days. That's when it counts the most. That's when it builds the deepest strength. Not on the easy days when everything flows naturally, but on the days when every little step feels like a task, and every choice feels harder than it should. You're not weak for having difficult days. You're human. Life doesn't give you a warning before it hits you with pressure, loss, setbacks, or stress. You don't always get to control what shows up, but you always get to decide whether you will show up. That doesn't mean pushing yourself past every limit. It means standing beside yourself when things get tough. It means doing something, anything, that reminds you that you matter, even when you're tired, even when you feel alone, even when it feels like no one would notice if you didn't. Most people wait until they feel better to take action. They wait for motivation. They wait to feel inspired. They wait to be in the mood. But if you only show up when it's easy, you'll never build the kind of life that's stable when things are hard. You have to create a mindset that doesn't disappear every time your emotions shift. Your emotions are real, but they aren't always reliable. They can change in minutes, but your decision to keep going, that can stay, that can become a pattern, that can become who you are. Start with one small decision, one action that supports you. It could be getting out of bed even if you don't want to, drinking water before coffee, stepping outside for 5 minutes, writing your thoughts down instead of letting them bounce around in your mind. These may seem like small things, but they are signs of presence. They are signals that you're not abandoning yourself, because that's what happens on hard days if you're not careful. You disconnect, you shut down, you disappear into your own thoughts, and before you know it, a bad moment turns into a bad day into a bad week. The way out isn't some big breakthrough, it's consistency. It's reminding yourself, I don't feel good, but I'm still going to do something good for myself. It's not about solving everything in one morning. It's about not giving up on yourself while you go through it. There's no rule that says you have to do it all perfectly. The goal isn't to perform. The goal is to stay connected to yourself. Think about how you treat people you love when they're struggling. You don't demand they be at their best. You don't walk away when they're low. You sit with them. You give them space. You offer comfort. Do the same for yourself. Give yourself permission to show up imperfectly, to take the pressure off, to move slowly if needed, to cry if you must, but do not ignore your own needs. That's where so much unnecessary suffering comes from, not from what's happening in your life, but from abandoning yourself when things get rough. On the hard days, your mind will try to convince you that you're falling behind, that you're not doing enough, that something is wrong with you. It's important to notice those thoughts and not follow them. It's important to remind yourself that effort looks different every day. Some days you run, some days you walk, some days you sit still and breathe. It all counts. What matters most is that you're choosing not to quit on yourself. You might feel lonely on those days. You might feel misunderstood. You might feel like no one sees how much you're carrying. But you see it, and that awareness is powerful. That awareness is what gives you a choice to carry yourself forward, even if nobody claps for it. even if nobody checks in, even if the progress is invisible to others, because you know you kept going, you know you didn't disappear, you know you stayed honest about how you felt, and still made a move forward. Sometimes showing up means resting, sometimes it means setting boundaries, sometimes it means stepping back to get your mind right. Don't confuse showing up with pushing through at all costs. Showing up is about intention. It's about being mindful enough to ask yourself, what do I need today? And having the courage to give yourself that answer, not the answer the world wants, not the answer that looks good from the outside, but the one that actually helps you heal and keep going. Don't minimize your effort just because it looks different from someone else's. Your struggle is valid. Your journey is your own. The fact that you're still here, still trying, still getting up even when it's heavy, that's strength. That's something to respect. That's something to build on. Stop waiting to feel like your best self before you take action. Show up as you are. That's where true growth happens, when you bring your whole self to the table, not just the parts you think are worthy. You're not behind. You're not broken. You're not a failure because today feels hard. You're in motion. You're in progress. You're in the middle of learning how to carry yourself through the moments when it would be easier to disappear. That lesson is more valuable than any external success, because life will always have ups and downs. But if you learn to stay steady through the downs, you'll always find your way back up. Remind yourself that you've made it through hard days before. You've had moments where you didn't think you could keep going, but you did. You found a way. You made a move. You showed up. And that's proof. Proof that you are stronger than the temporary feelings that try to hold you back. Use that proof. Use it to keep showing up again and again, even if no one sees it but you. And over time, those days stack up. They turn into resilience. They build a foundation inside you that doesn't break every time life gets loud. You stop fearing hard days because you know they don't define you. You stop losing yourself in the chaos because you've trained yourself to come back to your center. Not by force, not by perfection, but by choice. So no matter how today feels, choose to be there for yourself. Maybe it's a quiet day, maybe it's slow, maybe it's emotional. That's okay. Just don't walk away from your own needs. Don't wait for things to get easier before you decide to care for yourself. Choose now. Show up now. Because the person you are on the hard days, that's the person who's becoming unshakable. That's the person who learns how to carry peace in any storm. That's the person who's learning to truly live.